lied for me.
No, come on. You lied for both of us. You actually did something decent for me. That's a part of history you can't change.
I really feel like Victor has created a story that's an archetype. That this is a story of those two kids going down that lonely country road and running into some kind of wild, mystical thing.
After a summer of watching The Blair Witch and The Sixth Sense and remembering that these were the kinds of movies that I made in high school and joyously made in high school and never thought of making any other kind of film, that I should really write my monster movie. And Jeepers Creepers just kind of leapt out of that. And I grew up watching the old Universal movies. I'm not from the Freddy generation or from the Friday the 13th generation. I'm too old for that. My brother and I would watch creature features with Bob Wilkins was our host, and we'd watch Creature from the Black Lagoon and Dracula and Frankenstein and all the old Universal monster movies, which were based more on suspense and shadows on the wall, which, even though Jeepers Creepers will have a few graphic moments, we've tried hard not to really predicate it on gore, but rather on suspense and on images that would be hard to forget, just because they're sort of unnerving and indelible.
It's really a very simple story. Boy, girl, creature.
I like devoting my time to one or two characters. In fact, if you look at any of my films, you'll see that I like to stick to one person. He's usually a person close to my own sensibilities because I know and trust his reactions, and I think I can authentically portray his or her journey through the film. Derry, who's the younger brother, you know, I had no problem writing him because he felt so much like me. But the older sister, and I do have an older sister, and this is partially based on her because she is a very strong and smart survivor. I don't think I wrote her to her full potential, and Gina Phillips, who plays her, came in and she wasn't going to let me get away with any false moments. She became Trish and said, no, Trish really wouldn't do this. Wouldn't she do this and this? And she didn't make her part grow out of some kind of ego. She made her part grow because she was absolutely right. This is not a person who would stand by and watch this happen. She'd be more active in this. She'd be more assertive here. That's an example of how my own limitations as a writer are forgiven because of the talents of casting smart. We wanted to read everyone, and we boiled it down from about, I would say, at least 70 or 80 girls in town to two really gifted ones that we felt just played for real instead of posed.
You just said you didn't know everything. Now just what the hell are you full of shit about, and what aren't you, okay?
You think this is some kind of fun for me?
Just cut the fucking bullshit! Tell us what the hell you're trying to do!
Derry starts as a very light, open, innocent kind of character, and mine, Trish from the beginning, is a bit cynical. She's wounded. She's just broken up with her boyfriend, who's done some not so nice things to her, and I think she's been wounded by a man or two, and she has lots of walls up, and she's much guarded, more guarded than he is, and she's, you know, kind of tough and guarded and very preoccupied and very pensive. You want to know something? When I first heard that story, I used to think this was the highway I would die on.
Like the cheery thinker today, aren't we, sis? God, what's poli-sci I've been doing to you anyway?
I actually asked myself 100 questions I wrote down and then wrote hundreds of pages for about a month, 6 weeks of just writing about her and thinking about her and figuring what her favorite music was and what things that are totally not in the script but just help me connect to her, so that way I feel like I know who she is. I'm confident in her shoes no matter what's thrown at me. I don't have to think, oh, what would Trish do in this situation? I know what Trish would do in this situation.
I've never really gotten to do anything like this. I've done a little running around in movies, but never like this. And I've always wanted to be in a horror movie. I've always wanted to do stuff like this because it's just cool. It's a very childish level. It's just cool to be able to run away from a bad guy. Just knowing that this is his brainchild and it's his creation and it's his thing, you know, and from the beginning, I remember when I first met him for the audition, it was unlike any other audition because before I even started reading, he spent a lot of time really just talking to me he made me very comfortable, very relaxed.
But I'll tell them It's none of your goddamn business.
Honk, honk.
Jesus, Derry!
Honk.
What's this guy trying to do?
Honk,
Just get out of his way.
honk.
Well, he's nuts! Get out of his way, Derry!
Honk. And now he almost runs you off the road and goes swishing past.
Shit! What the hell is his problem? My first guess?
I love the fact that it's a brother-sister relationship instead of your normal, you know, romantic relationship. It's not a love interest. And he's wonderful. Justin, I just adore him. From the second he walked in the room, I auditioned with different guys, and they had me read with a few different young men. And when Justin walked in, it was like an immediate spark. When those things were right away, we felt like brother and sister, and it just, everything came off the pages, and it was wonderful.
You can't call it now.
I am!
You have to call it when you see it. You can't.
I was in shock! Fuck! I don't remember there being so many rules to this game. Of course, when there was, you were the one making them, weren't you? Oh, this junior Nazi. I see her as a sister now. You know, it was very easy. She made it very easy. I think with any other actresses, I might have had a hard time. She's very honest, you know, and so we just played off of one another.
Good.
Bitch.
Mama's boy.
Daddy's whore.
Dick licker.
Ball sniffer.
Ass kisser.
Butt picker.
Repeat, ass and butt, you lose. That's why I think it was important for me to figure out what their history was, so that when we play one of those games, I know, is this something we've played for 10 years, or is this something that's the first time we've played it? And that changes what we're doing and how we're relating to each other.
I think that's another reason I love his script so much. You know, they're not written in sort of a contrived way. They're not like setups to lead to another series of horrible events and a series of, you know, creature sightings.
I love that the heart of the movie wasn't about slashing, or the heart of the movie is this relationship with the brother and sister.
If you cast really smart, and you've got people who really inhabit the characters and come up with really good suggestions that are still on the same page as your story, they help it grow and change into something even more authentic.
I learned it from you. Why don't you just, I told you I learned it from you and kick it, because you're going to come around the side here anyway. You just kind of.
Studios used to be afraid to use writer-directors because they felt that the writers were so in love with their words that once they got onto the set, they wouldn't be able to let anything go or anything change. Now it's like the industry has changed. It's like they want writer-directors, but I think the important part of being a writer-director is being able to know that the writing is the first stage, and you're a proud papa, but in the next stage, you have to be a responsible parent and let that story grow and change and become something that might be outside what you wanted it to be.
What's really difficult is shooting scenes, like I said, in piecemeal, and having to physically get your heart up to a state of, you know, shock and trauma. So I do a lot of running around before and a lot of push-ups just to get, you know, the blood flowing and the blood pumping, like visibly shaking. It's one thing to feel that, but it's another, it has to be a physical thing. The whole body's got to be involved.
Having the director also be the writer, when something's not working or he has to change something because suddenly the weather's changed, he rewrites the scene like this. He makes it work. He wants our opinions. He wants our input. If I have an idea, there's never a moment where he's like, well, it's different than my line. He wants whatever's best for the movie, whatever's best for the characters.
What if it was you, instead of looking away, stare him down for that pregnant moment and see how that plays, okay? You're doing great, though. Both things.
I think names get in the way of a story like this, but I love the idea that these kids are just breaking.
Off camera almost just, but you're great. But we're on you and we're buying it 100%.
Thanks to Francis, we have the autonomy to hire whoever we wanted, which is rare. And I was thrilled that we got fresh faces and really, really gifted ones.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
I met with Victor, and he said, here's the script, and he said, just go home and read it. So I did, and I loved it. I was like riveted by it. I was like, oh my God, this is a really good monster movie. It's not like a psychological thriller. It's not, you know, a teen slasher movie. It's a monster movie, and it's serious.
I was going to hire Brad to do some storyboarding, basically. Well, Brad came in the first day, and he had 3 or 4 pictures of the creature based on the script. And they were so fantastic. In fact, the first one we saw was just so awesome that we immediately emailed it to Frances, who emailed us back and said, oh my God, this is great.
That was a part of the script at the cat lady's house, and she says that one line, that ain't my scarecrow. And I thought that was really gothic, this image of this guy standing in front of this old rotted scarecrow. That was just like the essence of how dark and ragged this character was, that he would blend into the scarecrow. I grew up in Nebraska, and, you know, with rolling cornfields in the middle of nowhere, and like, you know, picket fences and barbed wire and old trees and all that kind of stuff, just like barren fields and just old houses and things that you just see driving around Nebraska. And there's a certain eeriness to all of that.
What if a man who wasn't a man could dress in such a way that you would think he was until he got right up close to you and you saw that he was not a man at all?
Yeah, the creeper himself, the way he was described in the script, where he at first appeared like an old man in ragged clothing, and on closer inspection you find out that there's something wrong with him. He looked like an old man at first, but there was like this eeriness about his face where he looked like it's not quite right. And then, of course, the longer you looked, the more you realize there's something really different and strange and wrong with what this individual is. This is like the gothic character that we were always like afraid of when we were kids. This is like the monster from the Midwest that hasn't ever really been chronicled before. Victor was so clever in revealing more and more of the creature as you go through the film. It's not just that guy in an old coat. He changes and he morphs, and there's always something else going on with the creature than you know. He flies. He must be a vampire. He's got wings. And then you see him with his clothes off. He's got a reptile's body. He's got these huge leathery wings. He's like a gargoyle. I mean, well, okay, there's got to be one more step beyond that where you don't know what he is. That was like, I think, the biggest treat, to create a movie monster that you didn't recognize from somewhere else. That was like, oh, that's like weird and new, you know. That's so wonderful for a horror movie fan to see that and go, wow, something fresh. Somebody put the effort into doing something new and fresh. Giving less information about the creeper than just like saying, here's exactly what he is, and, you know, exactly what he's going to do and how he works and all the rules about it. Leaving him vague and leaving him mysterious, and you only get little suggestions of what he is or what he isn't, and that makes it all the more scary, because you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know how to stop him. You don't know why he's coming after you. You don't know what he wants. You know, it's just this complete, horrible, dark force you know nothing about. In the script, he's got a workman's table in there with stuff on it, and when we were talking about what the set was going to look like, Victor was getting into, like, the creeper is an artist. And originally we had, like, this drawing of this big wood table, and I had him look like he had carved up the legs and the front half of the table, and the rest of it was still just wood planks. And on the top of the table he had carved in this demonic thing, which at first in the film you'd go, wow, that's like, you know, some satanic symbol. Because at first, at this point in the movie, you just think he's a serial killer.